What we know so far is that at least one person has been killed and 11 people have been taken to the hospital with burns. And the fire department on the Penghu archipelago have told me that they're now rushing to the scene. They're on the scene trying to rescue people. They don't know the fate of the other passengers and crew on board. There were a total of 58 people on board, including the crew. And what they did say was that the plane crashed into a residence near the airport, and basically it had asked for to make an emergency landing, and then it disappeared from the radar. And the next thing they heard was a resident said there was a big fire at the scene of the crash. So that's what we know so far. Now, this is a small airplane. It was a domestic flight flying from the southern city of Kaohsiung to the Magong airport in this chain of islands called Penghu off the northwest coast of Taiwan, very close to actually mainland China. And what we know is that the plane actually was supposed to take off at 4 p.m. from Kaohsiung, but it was delayed because of the Typhoon Matmo, and it didn't take off until 5:30 p.m. That's around the time when the local authorities had lifted a land warning on the typhoon. The rains had stopped by then, and the airline must have thought it was safe to take off by that time. We don't know what the cause of the crash is, but right now we're just trying to find out as much as we can from the local authorities.
Cindy, we are arriving in the wet season in the region, so no idea whether this was caused by bad weather?
Well, we don't know at this point whether it was caused by bad weather, but there were some 200 domestic and international flights that were canceled since last night until today because of the typhoon. Now, it was a moderate typhoon. It wasn't considered a strong typhoon, but at one point, the sustained winds were blowing at as high as 119 kilometers per hour. And even in Taipei, where the buildings are quite much stronger than in smaller cities, we felt very, very strong winds. So it's the kind of day where people shouldn't be going out. But Taiwanese people are very used to typhoons, and there were still cars on the streets. The high-speed rail still kept running, and I imagine that right when the land warning was lifted, that many flights did take off.